If a child misses 18 or more days of school in a school year, they're considered chronically absent. Statewide in Indiana, new data shows during the last school year, 1/5 of the state's students were chronically absent. In some of our area schools, the numbers are much worse.
Greetings, Dr. Jenner, members of the board.
This is the State Board of Education at its October meeting talking about school attendance.
This is a pretty jarring slide for our state.
According to the Indiana Department of Education, during this past school year, nearly 20% of students were considered chronically absent. While there was a decline from the previous school year, the number of students who were chronically absent last year is nearly double what it was pre-COVID. And broken down by demographic and socioeconomic status, some groups are far more likely to experience chronic absenteeism. The statewide data also shows that only 60% of students have an attendance rate of 94% or higher. That means while some students aren't considered chronically absent, they're still missing enough classroom time to be considered habitually absent.
Because the state statute, the definition of habitual truancy is 10 days unexcused.
That's what that means. Yes, 400,000 plus. Yes, sir.
That gets your attention.
And alarming. Student data shows academic scores are higher for kids who regularly go to school. It shows even after 1 or 2 absences a month, students fall behind.
When you're not there and present every day, you're not going to get the same quality of education.
There, in my opinion, has to be a way to hold parents of minors accountable.
State officials say the causes of chronic absenteeism are complex.
This is a problem that's not going to have a single solution.
Locally, many schools in our area are struggling to get kids in the classroom.
It's a chronic problem. It's bad.
Dave Troyer, the director of student services for School City of Mishawaka, says the number of chronically absent students has jumped up since the pandemic, and they don't know why.
There's not one canned answer to that. We have to try to do everything we possibly can, and I think that's what schools are doing.
Look at the numbers from our local school districts. If you take Mishawaka, 34% of students last school year were chronically absent. That means they were missing from school more than 18 days, or 10% of the school year. 34% compared to 43% the previous year. That means the chronic absentee rate went down in 2023. And in South Bend, more than 40% of students were chronically absent last school year. Now, that's still a pretty high number, but it is down significantly from the previous school year. And in Elkhart, nearly 34% of students were chronically absent last school year, again, down from the previous school year. Throughout the state, high schools are seeing the largest percentages of chronically absent students. Around 47% of Mishawaka high school students were chronically absent last school year. That's down from 56% the year before.
There are some internal things that take place within an academic setting that impact absenteeism, but there's also external things.
Social workers say there could be a variety of reasons why some students might not show up to school regularly. Issues with transportation, mental health, homelessness, family dynamic, all factor in.
When we're making those calls, we say, how can we help? How can we help get your student here?
Mishawaka has implemented social emotional learning and behavioral and academic supports. But if they can't get students in school, it's difficult to help.
And many educators feel like that. So what we are doing about that is we're doing everything we can to try to help.
But this is not just a Mishawaka problem.
It's not even our state, it's the nation.
And it will take all of us to fix it. The Michigan Department of Education reports the chronic absenteeism rate was 30% this past school year. It's also down from the previous year. In the studio, Kristen Bean, WSBT 22 News. Chronic absenteeism is a major issue here in Indiana and around the country. If a child misses 18 or more days of school in a school year, they're considered chronically absent. Research shows when kids don't go to school, their grades and performance on tests are much lower. They're less likely to graduate, and there can be lifelong challenges. This is the Family Resource Center at Navarre Middle School.
But our big space, this is like our main room right here.
Leanna Potts and Lee Ross work part of the time in here or around the building.
So we got pants,
uniforms.
But a lot of what they do happens outside.
We try to just let them know that we're coming simply to do a check-in.
Potts and Ross knock on doors to check on absent students.
Make sure, we're here, open arms. We have everything, all resources that you could possibly need.
They are Family and Community Service Specialists, or FACS specialists. Their positions are unique to the South Bend Empowerment Zone, paid for with Title I dollars. When they get a report from the office or a teacher that a student has been absent, they set out to figure out why. How often is it that a kid hasn't been coming to school because there's something that they need or something that they don't have?
I would say 100% of the time.
The FACS team helps provide what the child needs to return to school and can connect the family to resources and help.
We have lots of kids. Usually it's like, I wouldn't even say a lot, say like a handful of kids that just literally don't have shirts or don't have pants. They may not have socks, don't have jackets or coats, sweaters. They can just come get it.
This is just one way the South Bend Empowerment Zone is trying to get kids to come to class regularly. There is a lot of work to do, but slight declines in the rate of chronic absenteeism at zone schools shows it might be making a difference. Look at this. 66% of students at Warren Elementary School in the 2021 to 2022 school year were chronically absent. That means they missed more than 18 days, or 10% of the school year. But last year, it dropped about 10 percentage points. At Coquillard, numbers also declined. At Harrison, numbers also declined last school year. And at Wilson, numbers also declined. At Navarre, there was a decline as well, from 61% in 2022 down almost 8 points to 53% in 2023. These numbers are still high, but there is progress being made. Still, more than 50% of students in each of these schools are still considered chronically absent. That's because the challenges that cause some students to be chronically absent are complex.
I don't think most kids wake up in the morning and say, I'm just not going to school this morning. I don't think that's the case. I think it's deeper than that.
Navarre principal Tim Harris says most kids want to go to school and most parents want their kids to go to school. Unfortunately, issues with transportation, mental health, homelessness, family dynamic all factor in. And the COVID-19 pandemic didn't help.
And I don't think all communities have recovered from COVID-19.
He's right. According to a report from the White House, the national increases in chronic absenteeism are large enough that they could be contributing to declines in post-pandemic test scores. Research shows just a couple of absences a month impact reading. Kids who are chronically absent are even more likely to struggle in school long term.
I've always told my parents, if you send your child to me every day, I guarantee you they'll be successful in school. I just need them every day.
This is not just an issue in the zone. According to the Indiana Department of Education, during this past school year, nearly 20% of students were considered chronically absent. And the numbers show children in poverty and children of color were far more likely to experience chronic absenteeism.
I would submit that the things that we do outside of the academic world to support the students and their families have more impact than the academic part of it.
It's why the work being done outside the building to get kids into the building is crucial to the long-term success of each child and the zone.
And we're literally coming from a place of love. Want your kid here, and we want you okay, because you got to be okay for your kids to be okay.
Go to our website to learn more about how you can help the FACS specialists in the zone. They need gently used uniforms, shoes, and other supplies. Also, you'll be able to see chronic absenteeism rates for schools throughout our area. In the studio, Kristen Bean, WSBT 22 News.